All right, guys. Um, I'm wearing my retainer, so it shouldn't impact my speech that much, but I don't know if you can really tell. But anyway, we have reached the semifinals of the Qatar Exxon Mobil Open, which is, of course, in Doha. But before getting on to that, just a few quick words about the kid. Yeah, the kid, he did win his first title rather impressively in Buenos Aires. I certainly doubted him all throughout the tournament, or at least in the semifinals and finals. I did not think he would beat Jarrett, but Jarrett was coming back from injury, so he was able to beat him in a 3 set match where the first 2 sets were very close. After he beat Jarrett, I certainly did not think he would beat Cerundolo, who is the more experienced and superior player at this point. He should be. And in his home country, in a final, which was Fonseca's first final. I really did not think he would beat Cerundolo, but he proved me wrong in quite spectacular fashion. Well, I mean, in good fashion. It wasn't that amazing. I mean, he did look rather good. He did look pretty good, I must say. But Cerundolo also looked not that great, but still a good performance from the kid to close that out in straight sets after failing to serve out the match twice in the second set, which is understandable because it's his first ATP final. But twice is kind of funny though. But nonetheless, he dominated the tiebreak 7-1, I believe. So that he didn't let that stop him. I was kind of I was watching this live and I was like, oh shoot, he's choking away. This Cerundolo's gonna win, but no. Credit to the kid. He kept up his intensity. He stayed focused, and that was a good performance from him. So I did doubt him, but I mean, I won't really blame myself too much because usually you don't win your first ATP final, but of course he is the special one, and sometimes we have these kids like this, like Sinner and Alcaraz, who they are just so good at young ages that they just win their first final, even though that's a hard thing to do. So credit to the kid on a fantastic week. Wins a title in Buenos Aires, his first ATP Tour title, defeating 4 Argentines on the way to winning, including, of course, Cerundolo in the final. So that was very impressive. Battling against a crowd in all 4 of those matches. He Argentines must not like him now. He just took out 4 of their guys in their home country. So that was pretty cool. And now I think I see, my mistake in predicting this. Well, I mean, yeah, again, I won't blame myself too much because usually people don't win in their first final. But, I think I can learn a little bit maybe. And the interesting thing was, of course, that after the kid defeated 4 Argentines in Argentina, he then went on to play the Rio Open, which is of course in Brazil, where he is from, and he lost in the first round. So that's the tournament that's going on now, along with the Doha Open. So it's kind of funny how bro just beat 4 Argentines in Argentina and then went on to his own home country and lost immediately. But I am not going to say that, oh, this kid is a fraud, overhyped, or anything like that just because he lost in the first round in Rio. No, I will not. I will not call him a fraud or anything because of that. That is not a surprising result at all. It's a very common thing for players to, after winning a title, to lose early in the next tournament. So I'm not going to call him a fraud for that. That's just something that happens a lot. And besides that, he is only 18. So, even more so, How can you call an 18-year-old a fraud for losing after winning his first title? The guy just won a title at 18. You can't expect him to win just like display consistency immediately after his first title. No. So I'm not going to call him a fraud or anything because of that. And I recall now that Cerundolo actually had a similar situation, I believe, 2 years ago, where he lost in the final in Lyon. Granted, he was playing a Frenchman there, but the Frenchman was another young guy, 19 years old, who was also in his first final. It was ATP, the Frenchman, who is the same age as I am. That was in 2023 in the Lyon final, like I just said. So granted, Cerundolo had the home crowd against him, unlike this time where he had the home crowd for him. Or just say the crowd. I shouldn't really say the home crowd. That doesn't really make sense, phrasically speaking. But so this is not the first time that Cerundolo has lost to a kid in the kid's first ATP Tour final on clay. So I guess perhaps I could have taken that into account, that this guy already showed that he can lose to kids in their first final. Of course, kids who are the next big things. I don't know if Fils will. Well, they're still both very young, so you cannot really say at this point how much either of them will be able to achieve. That remains to be seen. And you can say that both of them have potential, obviously. But now let's get into the Doha semifinals. So the first semifinal, we have Andrei Rublev. Everyone knows who that is, obviously, who just defeated the second seed Alex de Minaur in the quarterfinals in an epic 3-set battle. I watched like the last hour and 20 minutes of it, which was like the length of the entire final set, which was a set that ended 7-6, 10-8 in the tiebreak in Rublev's favor. This was a pretty intense match. There were some amazing, incredible rallies. Both of these players just grinding it out from the baseline. Rublev just pounding the ball, as he always does, and de Minaur defending for his life, as he always does, and de Minaur also displaying some aggression, too. So this was a very entertaining match to watch. And it actually could have been over 45 minutes sooner, because the interesting thing was that in that final set, Rublev was actually up 5-2, and he had a match point, and he actually had 8 match points that de Minaur saved throughout the course of that final set. The first one was at 5-2, and de Minaur actually had 1 or 2 match points of his own in the final set tiebreak. And de Minaur saved 8 match points until Rublev converted on his 9th match point, I believe. So Rublev, he probably would have become a supervillain if he had lost that match. So thankfully, luckily for him, he was able to win it finally. And ironically, I think de Minaur lost on like an unforced error. I mean, it finally, what are you going to do? 8-9 in a tiebreak in an 80-minute set. You got to make a mistake at some point. Can't really blame him there. So Rublev is through after that was like 2 hours and 45-minute long match. And he will play the indoor merchant himself, the walkover king, Felix Auger-Aliassime, who once again has had an easy-ass path to the semifinals here in Doha. In the second round, he got, or I should say round of 16, I think, he got a walkover from the Serbian guy, Hamad Medjedovic, who just destroyed Medvedev last week in Marseille, I think it was, before losing the final to Humbert, the local hero there. Medjedovic here, he defeated Tsitsipas in a 3-set match after cramping for like the last 10 minutes or so. He somehow won by just blasting the ball. So people are clowning on Tsitsipas now, but I mean he's finished anyway, so this doesn't really matter. And if he had just lost normally, no one would have really been surprised. But yeah, he's getting clowned on. But I mean, I don't know. The Medvedev just blasted shots and it went in. That can happen sometimes for these players who are pro players and know how to control the ball when they're injured. Sometimes it's the case that you can just whack shots and you can make it even if you don't have to move. And then that's not always that easy to deal with. Alcaraz, he almost won the Rio Open doing that when he was injured against Norrie. Norrie like barely beat him. And then afterwards he's like, oh, I couldn't tell he was injured or something. Like, bro, he was literally hitting every ball as hard as possible. And it still went in like half the time. That was pretty fun to watch, actually. I remember watching that match 2 years ago. And I believe Rublev also, speaking of him, there was one match 2 years ago too, I think, where he played 2 years ago, maybe it was just last year. He played Deminor in the Australian Open, and it was like 5 sets, but the last set was like 6-love, and he was just smacking every ball. I don't even know if he was like injured or something, or he couldn't move for some reason, but he was just I seem to remember that he was just smacking everything against Deminor, and that it was just working, and he just bageled him in that last set. So it's not always that easy to deal with, but anyway, Medvedev went through limping his way to the handshake, but he couldn't continue. So after that match, so he gave Felix Auger-Aliassime a walkover in that round of 16, and then Auger-Aliassime just played Daniil Medvedev today in the quarterfinals. Medvedev lost the first set 6-3, and then he just gave up. I don't know what was wrong with him. Apparently he had an illness or something, and when he realized that after he lost the set, then he's just like, nah, screw this, I'm out. So Auger-Aliassime is through after just having played 1 set in his first 2 matches. He's through the semifinals. This is kind of similar to his run in Madrid 2024, where he had like 3 walkovers or something, or like 3 walkover and like 2 retirements. It was something like that. On his way to the final in Madrid, where he was stopped by Rublev, interestingly, the guy who he's playing now. So do I believe that he will be stopped by Rublev again after this lucky path that he's had? Yes, I will say so. But I think both of these semifinal matches, I have a feeling that they can both go either way. They are both kind of toss-ups. But I will have Rublev to win this. Some people might think that he might be tired after that long match against Deminor with all those rallies, but I don't really think it will be too much of an issue. Like, this is still just best of 3. It was just one long match. You cannot just collapse after one long best of 3 match. I mean, you can, but I don't think Rublev's stamina is that bad that he will just get super tired after that long match. I think he'll be okay. I don't think this will be too much of an issue. The head-to-head is 5-1 to Rublev against Auger-Aliassime, 3-1 on hard courts. But, of course, the last meeting was in Madrid last year, and that was a very close match. And actually, pretty much all of their matches have been close. So it's not like Rublev has been destroying Auger-Aliassime, but he's been beating him most of the time. I guess just winning a few more crucial points. So all these matches look like they've been pretty close. So this can go either way. I think Auger-Aliassime he's probably even in the better form at the moment. He already won 2 titles this year. So I will not be surprised at all if he defeats Rublev, but I'll just give my slight edge to Rublev here. So, but this can absolutely go either way, so I will have Rublev winning this in 3 sets. Another note about Medvedev real quick. It was quite funny how in Rotterdam, Mattia Bellucci defeated Medvedev and then Tsitsipas. And then now Medvedev defeated Medvedev in Marseille, and he went on to defeat Tsitsipas just now in Doha. So it looks like whoever Medvedev loses to, Tsitsipas will lose to next. And these new players will take out the washed gen, which Tsitsipas and Medvedev are leading, of course. But anyway, on to the second semifinal between Jack Draper and Yuri Lehechka. Yuri Lehechka, who just took out the favorite to win this tournament, perhaps, Boy Wonder, in 3 sets. Interesting match. Interesting. I kind of called Lehechka beating Boy Wonder before this match started. I'm not going to make a prediction video for that because I'm not really that confident in those predictions, but kind of when I feel like, oh, it might happen, I have this chat I'm in where I'm just saying, like, oh, will he beat him? It was just like that, so, But after Alcaraz won the second set, I didn't think that Lehechka was going to win. And he went down a break in the final set. I believe he was down a break in the first set as well, even though I didn't watch that. I watched highlights a little bit later. So he came back from being a breakdown in both the sets that he won. In the final set, he was down 4-2. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's over. I mean, it was already over, I thought, when Alcaraz won that second set. And Alcaraz had the chance to go up a double break 5-2 in that final set and serve with the match, but he didn't take that chance. Still, anyway, I thought he's still going to win that set. But then just out of nowhere, Lehechka just breaks back. They get to 4-all. He starts moving like prime Djokovic and just like clubbing the ball as usual. And Alcaraz just fell apart at the end. Lost that set 6-4 from 4-2. So he lost like four games in a row, if not 5. But I'm not sure if it was 5. Maybe 4. 4 games in a row, I think. So that was an interesting sort of collapse there from Alcaraz. I mean, he wasn't really terrible, but I don't know. You don't expect Alcaraz to really lose from that position in the final set. But credit to Lehechka, he just stayed in there and just kept hitting quality ground strokes, and he got his way back into the match. And the tennis community is hilarious, man. They're so dramatic. It's absolutely insane. Like, this insignificant tournament, which is a 500 tournament, right? That's not really a big tournament. Alcaraz loses in it after he just won Rotterdam, another 500. He loses now. You look at the comments, and then there's like hundreds of comments. It's like, oh, this guy Alcaraz is finished. Oh, Alcaraz is worse than Sinner. He is inconsistent. He has a low floor. Like, bro, they're so dramatic, and they act like this guy's not going to win multiple more Grand Slams because he lost in a 500 tournament against a player who has started the year well. Like, bro, calm down. He's not going to win every single match. It's so funny to watch just like everyone overreact to some random loss. Like, bro, he's going to lose. And it's not like Lehechka's a bum. Like, he won a title this year already, and he only lost to Djokovic at the Australian Open. They're acting, and now people are acting like, oh, Alcaraz is done because he lost like one match. Like, bro, like, calm down. It's not that serious. But anyway, Lehechka will play Draper in the semifinals. Draper, who took out Berrettini, who in 3 sets, who took out Djokovic in the first round. But that is not even a surprise anymore because Djokovic is finished. And also, this is a Mickey Mouse tournament, which Djokovic doesn't really even care about. He's going to play the Sunshine Double, apparently, which is Indian Wells and Miami. But will he win there? I doubt it. I suspect he's just going to troll like he did this tournament and just play just for the hell of it and probably get knocked out first or second round. But who knows? Anything can happen. But anyway, these tournaments don't really matter, especially for players of Djokovic's caliber. I'm not really sure why he played the singles here. He should still be recovering from his hamstring tear, but apparently he got better quickly. But I guess he came here to retire Fernando Verdasco, and they played together in doubles and lost against the second seeds in the second round after destroying Bublik and Hachanov, I believe, in the first round. So I guess he just came here for that and for the appearance fee. I guess if he cares about money more still, that he's not rich enough already. Doha just pays people like him a lot just to appear there, and he doesn't even have to win a match. I guess he figured he's going to play with Verdasco, might as well just play the singles as well. And he got knocked out immediately against Berrettini, who he had a 4-love head-to-head against before. So, yeah, he doesn't really care about these events. He's just playing it just to play. But anyway, now Berrettini is out, and Draper is into the semifinals against Lehechka. The head-to-head is 1-1. Both meetings were on hard courts, and both of their meetings were last year. So not much to take away from there. Like I said before, I think both of these matches are toss-ups, guys. I have a feeling that both of these matches can go either way. So the final really can be anything right now. Lehechka, he just beat Boy Wonder, so it's hard to count him out with the way he was playing. He didn't really look that good, except for maybe the last few games of the match. To be fair, I didn't really watch the beginning of the match, but I believe he had like double the unforced errors as he did winners, and Alcaraz won more points. So it was not like Lehechka was amazing, because Alcaraz is inconsistent. But anyway, Alcaraz he's not really inconsistent. He still has an 80% win rate for the past 3 years or something like that, I believe. So he's not really inconsistent. People just exaggerate every loss. And he's definitely not inconsistent in the Grand Slams. But if I say that, people are going to be like, oh, Van de Zandschulp beat him in the second round. That was not a common appearance. That was not a common occurrence. Okay? I know Van de Zandschulp beat him in the second round of the U.S. Open. But is it common in the past 2-3 years for Alcaraz to lose early at Grand Slams? No, it is not, okay? You cannot. Let's look at the last time he lost early. He went to the quarterfinals at the Australian Open. That is not getting knocked out early. He lost against Djokovic, for crying out loud. That's not like really a big upset and getting knocked out early. Then the U.S. Open last year, that was a rarity. He won Wimbledon last year. He won the French Open last year. Australian Open, he lost in the quarterfinals against Zverev. That is not really getting knocked out early against a low-ranked guy. 2023 U.S. Open, he lost in the semifinals against Medvedev. That is a deep run. He won Wimbledon in 2023. In the French Open, he lost in the semifinals against Djokovic. Another deep run. He didn't play in the Australian Open in 2023, so you can't say anything about that. Won the U.S. Open in 2022. In 2022 Wimbledon, he lost to Sinner in the fourth round. That is not something that you can be like, oh, he's inconsistent. He lost to Sinner, who I know he was not really a beast back then, but it was still Sinner. In the fourth round, for that was like his second Wimbledon. It's not super early. And then all of that before, he was like 18 years old. So, 2022, he was in the French Open quarterfinals. So he has been consistent in slams for the past 2-3 years. Okay, so enough of this nonsense. All right, and he will win more slams, basically guaranteed. But anyway, back to Draper versus Lehechka. This match is a toss-up, as I just said. Difficult to predict. I really think this is basically a 50-50 match. But I will have Draper give him my slight edge. So I will have Draper winning this in 3 sets. But this, like the last match, can go either way. And I will not be surprised basically at any result of both these semifinal matches. I will not really be surprised unless someone gets like absolutely destroyed, whom I did not predict to win. Then I will be kind of surprised. But besides that, I don't think I will be very surprised. So I'll have Rublev defeating Auger-Aliassime in 3 sets, and Draper defeating Lehechka in 3 sets. And I believe we will have a final in Doha between the 5th seed Andrei Rublev and the 8th seed Jack Draper. And that will be my official prediction. But this can be absolutely anything. So I will see you next time.